photos of myself. Think I'll dust them off, put them back up on the shelf. Just a little baby girl isn't me. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, but I feel it still. Got another mouth to feed. Leave it with the babysitter, mama call a grave digger. Gone with the falling leaves. Am I coming out of left field? Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. I've been feeling it since 1966 now. Might have had your fill, but I feel it still. Ooh, I'm a rebel just for kicks now. Let me kick it like it's 1986 now. Might be over now, I feel it still. We could fight a war for peace. Give in to that easy living, goodbye to my hopes and dreams. Stop flipping for my enemies. We could wait until the walls come down. It's time to give a little tip.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I see we still have a few people filtering in. Welcome to our third installment of the Young at Heart Executive Breakfast Series. We are so thrilled that you could join us again today, this bright and early, for our series. I am Michelle Mason, the Director of Development for the American Heart Association. For those of you who are new here, our Young at Heart is a group of young professional ambassadors who are interested in getting involved with the work of the American Heart Association. The Young at Heart has been instrumental in creating this wonderful series for young professionals just like you, who are eager to learn more about career growth, resources, and more. I wanted to announce something very exciting and let you know about two new initiatives coming up developed by our Young at Heart leadership team. Our goal is to make this group a network of learning opportunities, as well as an opportunity to get volunteerism, networking, and leadership experience through the American Heart Association. We are so excited to announce that we have officially launched committees underneath the Young at Heart umbrella. Through these committees, leadership team members and general members will come together for one focus. Those committees are events and community outreach, advertising and marketing, membership recruitment and development, health and wellness, and women of impact, which is a unique 8 to 9 week peer-to-peer fundraising campaign focused on bringing young women together for one cause. It's led by our woman of impact, Alexis Chiara, who is also a leadership team member. And this is a very unique opportunity to get more involved to the Go Red for Women campaign. So it's open for young female professionals, young female teenagers still in high school who are wanting to get volunteer work. So we're very, very excited about these committees. So over the next few months, we'll be building these committees to give each Young at Heart member a purpose of work through the mission of the American Heart Association. So if you're interested in learning more or joining any of these committees, please do not hesitate to reach out. And if you are a current Young at Heart member, please let me know what subcommittee you have an interest in joining. Secondly, we have officially launched our Young at Heart mentorship program, Mentoring the Future. This year-long program will pair a mentee and a mentor together. Throughout the year, pairs will be tasked with several theme discussions and touch points to help keep conversation engaging, inspiring, and above all, motivational. If you are interested in applying to be a mentor or a mentee, you can let us know. This is a great opportunity for anyone within your company or networks to get more involved as well. As we express to you each month as we have these breakfast series, we are so excited for the future of Young at Heart. And with that, I'm excited to get today's discussion going. I am pleased to introduce today's moderator, Kate Myers, Employee Benefits Consultant for Lawley Insurance and a member of our Young at Heart leadership team. Kate, I'll pass it over to you.
Thanks, Michelle, for that introduction, and good morning, everyone. The way today will work is if you have a question for our keynote speaker, Feel free to utilize the chat box. We will be monitoring that throughout the speaker session and asking our keynote speaker your questions as we see them. If you have a specific question you'd like to ask, we will also have time allotted for questions and answers near the end of the program as well. I'm pleased to welcome our keynote speaker, Amber DiNatale, Chief Operating Officer for Great Lakes Medical Imaging. Amber was born and raised just outside of Buffalo and has been with Great Lakes Medical Imaging for 12 years. What makes Amber's background and credentials unique is that she has experienced firsthand many different jobs and levels within the organization, which helps her gain perspective and direction. She has been a technologist, a clinical manager, a director of operations, and now the chief operating officer. This diverse range of roles within the organization helps her relate to and develop the staff that she manages. She credits her philosophies on mindset and her hard work with her success. Leadership has grown to be a passion for her, and she enjoys the growth she has experienced and will continue to experience in her career with the organization. In her time away from work, Amber enjoys spending time with her 2 children and her husband. And with that, I'm pleased to welcome Amber DiNatale.
Thank you so much, Kate. I'm really happy to be here today. So like she said, my name's Amber DiNatale, and I work at Great Lakes Medical Imaging. And we are an outpatient center performing radiology studies throughout Western New York. We have about 5 different locations, and we have about 150 employees in total. So I personally have been with our organization for about 12 years now. And today I want to talk with you about my career and how I started as an X-ray technologist, and I kind of moved throughout the years into different roles, and I'm now in the Chief Operating Officer role today. So although my story is specific to the world of radiology, I want to take you through some principles that kind of have guided me and helped me to grow, and I think can translate into a lot of other industries. So with that, we can go to the next slide. So I'll start by talking just about your reputation and how important it is to establish a good reputation in your career. And that's something that's going to carry you through your entire career. So starting out right away when you get into that workforce or you start in a new organization, establishing that right out of the gate is very important. So I want to take you back to when I started as a student. In school for my radiology degree. I was in a hospital in Brockport. That was my clinical site. And as a student, I tried to take the mindset to maximize every moment that I had. So I tried to learn everything I could, and kind of move past any nervousness that I felt. So that way I could really grasp some great principles and some great knowledge about my field. And I think I took that approach, and it was different than some of my classmates. So I think some of my classmates would maybe shy away from difficult cases or the difficult things to do, or something that would make them nervous, or maybe they'd take more opportunities for breaks. But I tried to just push through that and not kind of sink into that comfort zone. And then I eventually became relied upon to do some of the more difficult tasks. So going to the operating room and operating the equipment there, or going into the pain clinics and working with the physicians. So rather than seeing it as a negative to kind of do those more difficult things, I looked at it as an opportunity to learn and then establish that reputation of being hardworking and ambitious. So I think doing that consistently eventually led me to getting a job opportunity working at that hospital once I graduated. So I worked there for many years, and I got to know the group of physicians that I work with now. So they're the same physicians that worked at the hospital. And eventually they became to open a location in the Buffalo area. And I wanted to kind of get back towards this area. So they offered me an opportunity to come and to interview for a position at that new location that they were opening. And I got the job. And, I think what carried me through there was really starting out right away with that good reputation, with developing those relationships with them. So all that hard work of trying to do those difficult things and, be outside of my comfort zone paid off, and it led me into the career that I have today. You can go to the next slide. So I'll talk a little bit about my first day with Great Lakes Medical Imaging. It was an important one for me. And when I started, I thought that I had interviewed for an x-ray position. So it was my intent, and we kind of talked through the interview, and I had it in my head that I was going to be doing mostly x-ray when I was there. But when I arrived on my first day at the job, there was kind of a misunderstanding, I guess, somewhere along the way. And I was greeted by my coworker, who was also the brand new x-ray tech. And we kind of compared notes and thought, okay, what's going on here? How could we both have, the same job? And as it worked out, I was slated to be the person who was actually going to be doing CAT scan. And I knew how to do CAT scan. I had done it at the hospital, but it wasn't necessarily my biggest comfort zone, or, I wouldn't have gone out and applied for a job doing CAT scan. So in that moment, I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do? This isn't kind of what I expected. I'm getting thrown this curveball here. So I decided in that moment, had this mindset where I thought, listen, I'm going to do this. And when companies install brand new equipment, so the center was brand new, when they install new equipment, they send a specialist to teach you how to use that equipment. And there was the specialist who was waiting for me to, as the new CT tech, to work for the entire week and kind of teach me the ins and outs of that equipment. And I looked at that as that's my opportunity. I need to just take this, grasp, the bull by the horns here, and sit down and learn everything I can from this person. So that way I felt really comfortable and confident with what I was doing. So I think the outcome of that was all about, having that positive mindset. And I was faced with something that I couldn't really control. And rather than, turn it into a problem or turn it into an issue, I looked at it as an opportunity to master a new trade and take it as, that experience. So, really having that positive attitude, I think is beneficial, and being able to adapt to changes and go with the flow in circumstances. So that way you can make a situation that maybe, wasn't necessarily what you expected turn into something really good. And I think that helped launch me into the next stage into my career. Go to the next slide. So after that, I worked for a few years in CAT scan, and, I had kind of grown a lot of experience, and I, got really comfortable in that role, and I felt ready for the next challenge. So when that happened and I kind of felt ready for that, I talked to my boss and I told them, I was really ready for the next opportunity. And in the field of radiology, the next opportunity is to learn MRI. So that's kind of that natural progression of how our industry goes. So I told my boss that. I let him know this is the direction that I would love to head. If there's an opportunity there, I would really like to have it. So, I continued working along. Like I said, this was a few years later, and, I wanted to be ready for that next chance when it came, and eventually it did. So I was offered a position to work in the MRI field, but it meant that I had to leave that center that I started at, that starting location with all my coworkers, with all of the people that, I had grown to love working with. And I had to kind of go out of that comfort zone and learn a new place, learn new people, learn a new modality. And so it was a little bit uncomfortable in that moment. But once I did that and I said, listen, I know this is what I want for myself. I want to, learn the next thing. I got over there and I got very comfortable and, really learned that new field. So while learning MRI for the next few years, I eventually was offered a position to be a manager back at that original center that I worked at initially. And it was for me to start up the new MRI scanner that they were putting in there, and then also to manage that location. So by me learning that MRI trade, I was then, kind of the candidate for that job. It made me qualified to be able to go back and be a manager at that location that I loved so very much. Part of being the manager there, of course, it's new to be a leader to people. It's new to have to manage people. It becomes a whole different side of your job rather than focusing on the patient care that I had done for so long. I had to now show care for those people that I was managing and learn how to do that. And on top of that, I was also managing people who were a job that I didn't know much about before. So all of the people who work on the front end, registering patients, scanning, checking in patients, was that whole other side of things. They dealt with insurances, and me as a technologist in my whole career, I didn't really know that aspect of it too much. So I had to take an approach of, learning what it was that they did. And I thought the best way to do that was really to sink in and just have them teach me what their job is, how do you accomplish your job every day? Show me how to do it. And I learned how to register patients. I learned how to answer the phone and schedule people. And I think it really helped me because I was able to, really understand what their pain points were. I was able to listen to them, and it helped me to earn their respect. So as a young manager, it's difficult to learn how to teach people how to respect you, or to earn their respect, I guess I should say. It's not easy. It's not something that, you just because you have this manager title that, you should expect people to just respect you. You really have to earn it. And I think you do that by showing people that you're there for them, that you're going to work hard for them, and you're not asking them to do anything different than you ask yourself to do. So obviously, nothing goes perfect, and I definitely learned a lot along the way, but I kept striving to move ahead, and I tried to get as much feedback as I could so I could help to become a better manager. So getting feedback, I think, is so important. It's hard to hear sometimes. It's not always, what you want to hear. Sometimes you just want people to tell you that you did a great job. But I think feedback is really what helps you grow. So I'll use interviewing as one example. That was something, as a new manager, I was very nervous about interviewing people. And I thought to myself, okay, every time it comes up for an interview, I think I'm more nervous than the person that's actually coming in for the interview. So I had my coworker at the time. I was very fortunate to work with someone who helped me during those interviews. Every time after, I would ask her, how did I do? What could I do different? As though I was that person, being interviewed. And I took that feedback, and I didn't always like to hear it. It wasn't always, maybe the best thing that made me feel warm and fuzzy, or that I did my job great, but it helped me to become better at it. And now interviewing is something I do regularly, and I don't get nervous about it. And, I was kind of able to overcome that because I kept taking in that feedback that was provided to me, and using it to change and adapt myself. So seeing yourself from someone else's perspective is very important, and it's just necessary if you do want to grow, and if you do want to launch into the next part of your career and become a better leader. So I say use today to get ready for tomorrow. So throughout my career, I had my eyes kind of set on the next area that I wanted to grow to, but I put in the work today to get prepared to do that next thing. So I think that's really important, is if you want to continue to grow, start preparing now for it, because when the opportunity comes, you don't want to be caught flat-footed and not ready to move on to that next stage because you didn't quite finish whatever it was that you were working on in that previous job. And I can give you an example. One of our former CEOs that we had, Sarah, gave me some great advice when she left, and that was to go back to school. So I had earned that radiology degree, and I was working in that field. But now that I was headed into the business aspect and into that management side of things, she recommended that I go back to school and earn that business degree. And she said, if you want to keep growing, you need those credentials to back it up. And I didn't have an opportunity on my plate at that moment that required that degree, but I took those years to get that degree earned, and then I was ready. So when the opportunity came, to be the chief operating officer, I was there for it. I was prepared. I had the credentials to back it up, and I was eligible for that position. So it took a long time to get prepared for that, but doing it long in advance kind of helped me. So that way, that opportunity, when it came, I could snatch it up and take advantage of it.
Amber, we have a few questions, and I think you've given us a lot of interesting, really good information right now. So I kind of wanted to take a pause and read some of these. But one of the things that I think is hardest for young professionals is learning to accept change and adapt to that. And going back to that first day where you came in for a job that you weren't really knowing of, what do you think was a point in your career that you really realized you needed to pivot, and then how did you do that? Could you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, so I think with adapting to change, so there are times where you need to speak up and you need to be the person that challenges, a situation. And I think that's important in any team environment. And we talk about that in our organization. I don't want everyone to just say yes and agree with me all the time. We need to vet out the solution and make sure that it's the right one. But there are times when you're not in control and you don't have a choice in the matter. The decision is far above you and the choice has already been made. And you're left with either putting your energy and effort into fighting a battle that you're not going to win, or you can look at it as, this is out of my control. Let me see the positive. The people who made the decision made it for a reason. So let me try to understand the reason why they made that decision and go with it rather than digging my heels in. And it just was going to cause undue stress on you personally, and it's not going to have an impact on the decision in the long run. So you're kind of better off in certain circumstances just going with that flow, adapting to that change and letting that process take you there, because it actually might lead you somewhere better than you thought you were going to head in and with the way that the path that you were on. So it really is, kind of redirecting yourself and putting those efforts and energies into just making that solution really work.
Yeah, I think that's really great advice. And I think that kind of goes along with the next question, which was, you had talked a little bit about accepting critiques and how it can make you better. And I know a lot of us might feel like criticism is a direct target towards our egos.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think criticism should be looked at as such a positive thing?
Yeah, so I think it's what your goals are in your life. And if you want to grow and you want to be better, and I think everyone should do that, if you're asking for the feedback up front, it's a little bit easier to absorb. So if you are there and ready, you're ready for someone to kind of give you that, like, hit me with that feedback, it's a little bit easier to take. Eventually it's going to come out and people are going to lash out at you in some way, or, if you continue to act a certain way, eventually it's going to come back at you. And at least if you're prepared for it and you're ready to kind of accept what that feedback is in that moment, you can process through it a little bit easier, where it doesn't necessarily, you don't take it so personally. And I think it's also asking for feedback from people that you really trust, because they'll come at it from a place where it's not trying to hurt your feelings or not trying to come off in a way that's offensive. If you get it from someone that you already have that comfort level, established with, like a good coworker, like your boss, people that you already have that comfort zone with, I think it really helps to just temper the message a little bit and take it in a way that doesn't, personally hurt your feelings. But sometimes
like kind of preparing for it. Yeah.
Exactly. You're ready for it in that moment. You're not getting blindsided after some meeting by someone who maybe you don't get along with really well or whatever. It stings a little more when it comes in that way. So, asking for it up front and just being ready for it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that's it for now.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll talk a little bit more about stress. So taking on more responsibility obviously means you take on more stress. So you do have to, find ways to manage that stress. So when I was in a director role with Great Lakes Medical Imaging, I had one of our technologists pull me aside and ask me, I see people coming in and out of your office all day. They bring you problems, you deal with, equipment's down, patient complaints, whatever it may be. And she was like, how do you handle that? I don't understand, because I come to work every day and I'm stressed out and I don't have to deal with, all of those other things. So I asked her, what's the most important thing in your life? And she was like, well, my job. And I was like, okay, think again. It shouldn't be your job. You should love your job, but it shouldn't be your job. And she was like, well, it's my family. And I said, okay, that's it. So all of the problems that I have to solve at work, I can manage. I can handle the equipment breaking. I don't have to fix it personally. I have to get someone to help me fix it. I can handle these difficult, situations or patients. Those are all very manageable. And knowing that I have a good foundation, I have people who, love me at home, a great family that I have that I can always rely on. So even the hardest day of work, you're coming home to a place where, you have that comfort. And I think it's understanding the difference between what's a big problem in your life and what's just a little problem. And I think sometimes people see problems and it's a little problem, but it feels like a big problem at the time because there's that relative factor. So COVID was a great example for us. We had been dealing with things at our organization that felt like really big problems at the time. And we were focusing our energy into how do we solve this? And we had a plan and a path forward. And we were hit with this pandemic that, shook everyone, and we didn't know what to do. And we were in this lockdown situation. And it's amazing how those problems that we thought were a big deal at the time kind of melted away, and they really never resurfaced. So that really showed me that problems really are relative, and what feels like something that's this big, massive deal, if you kind of break it down and put it into perspective, it's actually not that big problem. It's really just a little problem. So really kind of thinking that through and not over giving more energy to something than what it really needs to, and differentiating, the difference between those. So also, I have tried to determine what the source of my stress is. So sometimes everything feels stressful. It's all coming at you at once, and it feels like everything's stressing me out. So you really have to try to separate and find what really is causing you that stress. Every day you wake up and you take care of your pets or your family, or you deal with a crazy commute or whatever those things are. You typically deal with that, with no issue, and it's part of just your regular day. But there's certain times when all of that, you feel like it's all coming at you at one time. And it's typically not all of those things. There's one problem that's really putting you at a higher level of angst or worry or whatever that is. Maybe it's a deadline. Maybe it's a presentation that you have coming up. Maybe it's something that you have going on in your home life. So if you can really source out what is the root of what's causing you that stress and figure out how you're going to tackle that specific problem, the rest of that stuff, all those little things and the crazy commute and all that kind of stuff, it fades away a little bit, and it just becomes part of your regular routine. So it really is trying to just sort out what that source of stress is, and then being able to tackle that with a plan, and it puts your mind at ease and kind of lets some of that stress melt away. And then being prepared. So if you find the source of that stress, really try to be prepared for it. If it is that project or that deadline, procrastinating it, postponing it isn't going to make it go away. It's just going to make you stressed all the days leading up to it. So if you can tackle that in advance and feel really confident and comfortable, eventually that becomes second nature, and you're prepared and you're ready to go. And it helps you to, not feel so worried and so nervous about it. So take the time, do your preparation, and tackle what that one source of stress actually is. And then you need teamwork. So I did not get here by myself. I did not get here because I, tackled every single thing alone. In order to do great things, you really do need to have a great team of people. And I am fortunate to have a great team of people that I work with and have worked with throughout the years. I don't know everything, but I know if I get the right people in the room, we can sort out the problem, we can figure out the solution together. And it's really my responsibility as a leader to guide that team and to make sure that I keep that relationship between our team flowing smoothly, that I have the right people on the team. So like I said before, you don't want everyone to agree. You do need people to challenge you. And when you have different personalities that complement each other, that can all work together, it helps you to make good decisions because you're seeing from different perspectives. So I know that that's my job. Like I said, as a leader, I'm there to really make sure I'm fostering a good team environment, and then having good personal relationships with each individual person on my team. So as much as we all need to get along together as a team, I need to be able to relate to them one-on-one, so that way I understand them. So in our organization, I meet with every person who's on my team, on my manager team, once every 2 weeks. And it can be more or less, depending on the circumstances, but that's our time to just really talk about how things are going. And sometimes, we talk about personal things. Sometimes it's a struggle they're having with one of their coworkers, or a situation at work that they're not sure how to handle. But that time that we have set aside, I'm able to give them my full attention, and they know, that we're working to develop a really strong relationship. So that way, they're really trusting of me as their leader. And then it also just helps me to understand better how they tick. So it's important to learn how to communicate with people in the way that they like it. Some people love getting direct feedback. They want you to be straight with them. Tell me what you thought of that, and handle things that way. And other people are a little more sensitive. So you have to learn to temper your communication with them to their personality. And the only way to know what their personality is to have a genuine relationship established with them. So that's, been a really important thing for me, is just taking the time to develop genuine relationships. You can't fake relationships, and you definitely can't fake them for long. You really need to be genuine in your intent and very honest with the people that you have on your team. And talking about, that genuineness is making sure that you want to present professionally, obviously. And, but sometimes professionally can look like, you're putting on an act to a certain extent, because you're so poised and you're so polished that people don't get a chance to see the real you. So it's something I learned a few years ago. I always really wanted to be respected, so I wouldn't let my guard down. And I learned that I really needed people to see the real me. So I was a bit more relatable. You can't, always be perfect and on and, have all the right things to say. And obviously you need to draw the line, and, you have to be definitely professional, but I think it helps you to lead being more genuine, and people understand that you're a real human, and that makes you much more relatable and much more effective as their leader, because they feel like you could walk a mile in their shoes and you get what they're going through, rather than just kind of putting, a polished spin on everything. And then show appreciation. So we say thank you constantly here. And I think sometimes we say it so much that maybe it loses its meaning, but taking time to show genuine appreciation for people is very important. They need to know that you see them and you're specific in what you're appreciating. You're not just, blanket saying everyone here is great and thank you for everything. Showing some very specific situations or specific compliments back to people helps them to know that you really see them. You see what they're doing. You see the work that they're putting in. You see that they struggled with something and then they accomplished it. So really knowing your team and being able to give them the credit that's due in a very specific way, I found helps to, promote that teamwork. And I was taught when I was young to show that appreciation and respect for everyone. So it's very easy to look at the person who's above you in the organization and, maybe say how great they are or treat them with a level of respect. But we promote here, and I make sure that I promote every single person in our organization has a very important role. It's all the way from the cleaning staff all the way up to, the presidents of our organization and our physicians. Every single person, without them, the whole picture doesn't work. So they can't feel that their role is any less valued than someone else's role. It's just different. We're all part of that big puzzle that, makes everything work, that makes Great Lakes Medical Imaging work. So you have to really be able to show respect to them and not treat anyone as though their role is any lesser than what your role is. So all about building that teamwork and showing people that you care and being, genuine and honest, I think is so important.
Amber, it's interesting. You kind of talk about these 4 things as how it helped you get to where you are, but I also think it links back to the managing stress a little bit, because if you're doing all of these things, I could imagine that it helps keep that stress in balance too, because you're focusing on appreciation, you're having genuine relationships, you have good people around you. And we actually had a question come in related to your stress slide. I'm going to hop back that way.
Sure.
And we did talk about stress in our last breakfast series with our last speaker, and they focused a little bit about that work-life balance. So for you, the question that came in is, as a mother of 2, how are you balancing your new achievements as a chief operating officer with the stress of motherhood, being a wife, and then obviously, as you touched on, we're living through a COVID-19 pandemic right now too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I definitely, stress is obviously a big thing and it's always there, but I think it really is trying to see the benefits and the the bright side of the situation that we're in. So especially in the pandemic, I know people are locked down with their kids and, stuck at home or whatever it may be. But I think for me, it helped because life does get crazy. We get very busy. And especially in this situation, we were forced to stay put. And it made you do things that like maybe you wouldn't normally have done. I'll play games with my kids for hours on Saturday because we can't go places and we can't do different things. And, you can't be out in the public as much and as, open as we used to do. Whereas normally we would be in the car, on a bike ride, here, there, and everywhere. So it almost forced you to slow down. And I think trying to see the good in the situation definitely helps you rather than focusing on all the things you don't like about it and that what you can't do. Take advantage of the things that you now can do that you weren't doing before. It really did force us to slow down, I think, in a way that we all really needed, like it or not. And obviously the situation itself is not a good one, but if you can try to take it and look at it in a positive light, I think that is what has really helped us.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there something that you lean towards to help you negate the stress in your life, whether the gym or meditating or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm a walking person. I walk constantly.
too.
We walk all over our neighborhood. So anytime we're stressed out or maybe the kids are running around a lot, everyone just needs to get out and stretch their legs. So we will literally just take a walk, bundle up, 30 degrees out. It doesn't matter, snowing, bring the sleds, whatever it is we need to do. We just get outside and breathe in some fresh air and everyone comes back, feeling a lot better. So there's a lot to handling stress that comes at you, but just as an overall well-being, we definitely use just being outdoors as something that's like a release for our whole family, and we love it. So anything we can do outside, we we try to do.
That's awesome. All right. I think that's all the questions for now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so okay, we're going to tee into this a little bit, talking a little bit more about that. So yeah, in my personal life, I'm married and I have 2 children. So, it is hard to try to strike a balance sometimes with that. But one of the ways I try to do it is to prioritize who needs my attention first, what needs my attention first and when. So sometimes, that's something takes precedent in home and you have to focus your attention there. Maybe there's your kids presentation or school or, whatever that may be, the focus really needs to be within your home life. And sometimes it's work. Sometimes you have big deadlines coming up and a project that's underway that you really need to focus that effort on. So I try to kind of line up what those things are and know what I need to tackle next, or know this has got to come first. I have to accomplish this. And then that's going to give me time for, the other side of things, whether it's personal or professional, whichever it is. And it's not always the same. Those priorities shift constantly. So it's really just, I like to line things up, and tomorrow I have to tackle this. This is what my day is going to look like. Let me focus on this. I can't worry about what's going to now happen 4 days from now, or next week have a party I'm planning at home. Let's get through tomorrow and then we'll focus on that. And, any amount of planning that you can do in between is certainly going to help. And I try to separate my time as much as you possibly can. It's hard to multitask doing all of it at the same time and, getting interrupted at work with things from home or vice versa. So as much as you can separate those things and really be present in the moment where you are is really helpful. So if you're trying to give your attention to both things all the time, you're never fully in one place. You're never fully there in your mind and present. So it is trying to separate those 2 things. And I go to work in the mornings. I'm with my kids. I get them breakfast. We get ready for school. And then they go their way and do school. And I go to work. And we take those opportunities and the time that we have in the morning for our bonding, for our fun and, doing that. And then same goes with once I get out of work at the end of the day. I have to put work on pause. My kids go to bed at a specific time. It's usually 7:30, somewhere in that range. And I know I can put everything on pause in that time period that's happening with work is, most of the time. And if I need to pick back up and do some work at 7:30, once they're in bed, I do it then. So I'm giving that full attention to those people, to those, places in that moment, rather than trying to do it all at once. You're kind of giving half all the time rather than giving 100%, some of the time. So I found that to be really beneficial. And sometimes all of those plans and thoughts and priorities and, lining all that up doesn't work. And you do need to step back and just get yourself back in control of the situation. Figure out what isn't going right. Think through. I'm a thinker. I like to just think through my problems. And, sometimes I'll just lay there and I have to kind of process things and unwind them. So sometimes you do need to just take that time to recenter yourself and say, okay, this isn't going right. I'm mixing everything too much, and let me refocus and re-strategize. So, and just be open with the people. I let people know at work, listen, I've got this thing going on at home. You can text me. You're not going to be able to call me. I won't be able to answer, but if you text me and you need something, I'll respond. They know then not to bother me as much as possible, or let it wait for, 2 hours, whatever it may be, or vice versa. I'll tell my kids, I'm on a call. I have a call for an hour. I'll be back. We'll be able to play. So give me just this a little bit of time and I'll be able to do it. So you do have to kind of communicate and be open with, both sides. And sometimes people are more understanding than others, but I think for the most part, it works for me to just be honest with people and tell people, what you're faced with, or, what you can and what you can't do, kind of set those boundaries. Next slide there. Okay, so personal alignment. So Credo is a word that I didn't really know much about until I got into my business classes. And the more I learned about it, the more I really loved this concept. And it really is your own personal mission statement of who you are and, what you really stand for. And it's based on, what your core values are. So it helps you to really stay focused and true. So establishing what your mission statement is really important. And it helps you with all of the influences that you get in your career and different people. And, you kind of get pulled in different directions. But if you know who you are, what your values are, you can always stay true to that. And it helps to kind of keep you focused and not be influenced by other people in a negative way or in a way that steers you from who you really want to be. So I think focusing on establishing who you are and what that credo is has been really important for me. I'll tell you what it is in my next slide. But finding an organization that really suits who you are is also, been really important to me. So I'm not sure what my career would look like had I not gotten that opportunity to come and interview at Great Lakes Medical Imaging. I don't know where this path would have taken. Maybe I wouldn't be, a leader today. And it's something that I really grew to love. So I think trying to find an organization that allows you to have that growth, that allows you to kind of go outside of your comfort zone or present you with those opportunities. As much as you have to earn them, you also have to be in an environment that helps you and provides those opportunities to you as well. So in aligning with the organization and then aligning with your boss as well. So I've had some great mentors over the years who've given me those opportunities and they saw something in me. And, as much as you learn in school and, you learn the right things to do, or there's some real life application that has to happen. And if you're not brought to the table and if you're not given those experiences, you'll never get that real life experience. It only comes with, being afforded those opportunities. So I've had some great mentors who brought me to the big meetings, before I was ready, just to let me observe. So that way I could kind of see and start to understand how things work, and it helped me to better be prepared. So really having either a great boss or a great mentor, someone who gives you those opportunities has really, I think, been invaluable to me. And then on the flip side of that, having a manager who you don't align with is really difficult. And I think getting direction from someone who you don't respect or you don't agree with causes a lot of angst and undue stress in you. You don't want to follow the direction of someone who you don't find to be aligned with who you are. Maybe you're told to do something that, you disagree with, or you have to discipline someone because, you were told that that's what you have to do, but you don't truly believe it, causes a lot of stress and a lot of angst. So I would encourage you to try to find not only an organization that really suits you, that you love the feel of, that you love to be at every day, but also to find a boss that you also align with. Because even though the organization can be great, sometimes there's issues with those different personalities and you just don't necessarily appreciate what their leadership is doing for you. So trying to find that personal alignment that also aligns with who you are, I think has been successful. And I'm really fortunate to have found, a place in Great Lakes that has afforded me all of those things. And then I hope that I can be that leader to the people that we have here. So show that personal alignment.
We had two questions come in through the chat box, Amber. The first was, how has failure played a role in your success, and how did you respond to it or recommend how others respond to it? And if you could give an example.
Oh, that's a good question.
It is a good question.
I'm trying to think. I try not to think about my failures a lot. I try to focus, fix them, and then move forward. But I think maybe some of my biggest missteps have been in how I lead people and maybe not approaching them in a way that, they responded to. Or I think I used to think sometimes it was their problem or it was their fault. They acted this way. And when I switched my mindset, instead of thinking it was them who was difficult, it was me who was not managing them in a way that suited them. So I think it was really flipping the switch. It's not that bad person. They're not just a difficult employee. I wasn't treating them that way, or they didn't respect me for whatever reason, or, I gave them direction that they didn't like. Or maybe I was too direct with them and they didn't like that. I tend to be very direct with people, and I've learned I have to temper my messaging a little bit. Not everyone can hear things quite as directly as what I like to hear. So it was all about how I communicated with those people. And I look back at people who've either worked for us in the past or, I led before as their manager. And earlier on in my career, I think I could have done a better job at working with those different personalities and trying to understand their personalities more in depth. So I think I've made progress there. But if I think about a failure, managing people is the hardest part of being a leader. And the better you can learn how to manage people and manage personalities, you find yourself more successful and people are more responsive to you.
Yeah, so taking that failure and more using it as a learning experience and what you can take from it seems like the message there.
Definitely.
The other question was, we have someone on the line that has been interested in finding a mentor for a while, and they would like to know how you recommend someone go about finding a mentor and maybe some key qualities that someone should look for in a mentor relationship.
I think, so I found mine through work. So that was kind of easier for me. And they didn't start out as my mentors. We did build relationships over time that I think helped me to understand them and them understand me. And we just kind of found that synergy. So that's probably the best and most easy way, is finding someone within either your organization or just doing some networking and different opportunities there. So even things, like this, when you sometimes I think with there's a lot of events going on right now. There's a lot of, great virtual types of things. You really have to open yourself up to those ideas and those opportunities, because you never know who you're going to meet. You never know the situation, that you're going to be in. I had no idea that my hospital that I worked out of in Brockport was going to lead me to people who, were opening locations in Buffalo, New York. So it was kind of like, you never know the people that you're going to meet and who can connect you with who. So it really is being open and being available to different people and trying to just put yourself out there a little bit. It's hard to do. It's nerve-wracking, especially early in your career, but it does help. There's so many connections, especially in Buffalo. It's a small town. There's so many connections. You probably know someone today that could help link you with that right person. So talk about it, talk about what your goals are, and try to, put yourself out there.
What qualities of your mentor do you think make them a good mentor?
I've had different people that I've aligned with, I would say, and a lot of it just came from people being in the same place as I was personally. Maybe they had a family, so that kind of helped me. I could hear how they handled situations and how they handled difficulties. So there was a relatability in our own situations. And, we've also had some people who were just very genuine and good people. And I think that's something that I always respect, and people that we look for in our organization. I can teach you how to do anything. I can teach you CAT scan. I can teach you how to manage people. You have to want to do it, and you have to just be a good person, I think, inside. So I really just tried to look for people who were good people at the end of the day. And I really respected them for that. They could always just do the right thing. They weren't mean. They weren't, they were always just open. So, so yeah, it's really just finding good, genuine people, I think, is what I have really looked for.
I like that. Yeah. I know I'm excited for your personal mission statement, so I'll let you get on to the next
It's
slide.
so easy. It's very easy. Yep, you can go ahead and switch to the next slide there. So this is it. Work hard and be nice to people. It is painfully simple, but I've had this picture has moved with me from office to office in my different roles. And it is so simple and it's so easy, because when you think about it, those are really the only two things I think you really need to be successful. So work hard. My parents taught me when I was young, nobody likes someone who's lazy. Nobody likes a lazy kid. I heard that my whole life. You do just have to work hard. And it's something that, give your best effort every single day. And you can always feel good about that. Even when you fail, if you know that you tried, I always feel good knowing I really tried. This happened, and it wasn't necessarily my fault. Maybe it was a little bit, but I at least know that I put forth that best effort that I possibly could. And at the end of the day, I can always feel proud of that. And then be nice to people. So it sounds so simple, and it really is. There's so much gossip that happens, and so much negativity, and so much, a lot of times, so gossip really most of the time isn't true. Number one, it's not nice, especially to the person that's being spoken about, and it's really never productive. So it sometimes feels good in the moment, I think, for people to bring down others and talk about them. But it's never a good situation to be in, and it's really not nice. And like I said, treating everyone in the organization from entry level all the way up to the very top, being nice to everybody along the way, that helps build your reputation. It builds you as someone who's a kind person, who's nice, and it's very hard for people to look at that in a bad way. How could you ever be mad at someone who worked really hard and was nice to people? You really can't. So I think those things are very simple. There's not much to it, but the principles are really, strong. And like I said, being genuine and just trying your best has, been really important. And then also, I think for me, you have to show patience and consistency. So I've talked for the last hour about, my career, but it's been almost 15 years, 12 with this organization, but it's taken a long time to get into this position. And I've been the COO for the last year, and hopefully, years and years to come, but be patient. It took years for me to earn the next job. It took years of hard work every day, coming in, showing up, doing the right thing every single day until I got that next opportunity. So it won't happen in months. Maybe it will if you're really lucky. But for the most part, it takes years of very, consistent behavior, consistently building that reputation and trying really hard. So, stay the course and look at anything someone will teach you as an opportunity. No one can ever take that away. I now have all these different trades and things that I've learned over the years. No one can ever take that away from me. So it's not more work on your plate. It's not something that's, looked at as a burden. You now have a new skill that's going to help you bring you into the next stage. So I think that's been, my best advice, and, work hard and just be nice to people. It's easy as that.
Yeah, I really like how you talk about identifying, your own personal mission statement. And I don't think a lot of people realize that they are their own brand and really their own advocate. How do you think that way of thinking for you has helped get you to where you are today?
Yeah, so I think it really is easy to be swayed by other people and to be taken down a path that you find yourself not really being true to who you are. And at the end of the day, no matter where I work, yeah, I am who I am, and someone's going to know me maybe at the next place that you want to work or the next opportunity. And that brand is what stands with you. So knowing who you are or learning who you are along the way, you don't know it right out of the gate, you start to build it. and you set what your goals really are for yourself, it helps you to just kind of stay the course, stay true, and not find yourself years down the line, someone that you don't think you even knew back then, that you're so different from who you really wanted to be. So try to just, keep following that true north, that true path of who you know that you want to be, and don't let other people kind of influence you in a way that maybe takes you off of that course in a negative way.
Yeah, yeah. And last thing, you've talked about all the different paths that got you to where you are and the things you've learned along the way. So thank you for that. But if you could give your younger self one tip of advice, what do you think that would be?
So I think I like to have the answer, and I like to be the first person to be like, I got this, I can, I've got the solution. And I spoke up a lot. My younger self spoke up a lot. And I tried as a leader to flip the switch and just listen to others, because I know if I sit in a room and I tell everyone this is what I want to do, I'll get rallied behind. That's a great thing, but it doesn't allow me to hear another perspective. And so I think it's not always feeling like you have to have all the answers and being that first person to speak up. I think it's listening more, hearing what other people have to say, putting that all together, and then making the decision and using that as your launching point, rather than immediately trying to present with a solution. I always like to be the first person to, jump in there, but I think I've slowed down with that, and I've done more listening, and I think it's found us in a much more successful place by hearing every different person's perspective first before I speak.
Wow, I love that.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amber. That was very informational, lots of really, really great tips and resources. And it was really, really great to hear your story and how you got to where you are today. So we really appreciate your time. And those of you in the audience, if you didn't get a chance to ask Amber a specific question, you can email me those questions and I will get them over to Amber to connect with you so that she can answer your question. Sorry, my cat is knocking on the door. And thank you, Kate, so much for leading today's discussion. It was really, really great. So everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to wrap up here. If you are interested in joining Young at Heart, you can feel free to reach out to me. And pencil this date in. Our next Executive Breakfast Series will be February 11th at 8 a.m., featuring Patrick Green from Horizon Health Services. He'll be touching on mental health and well-being for the young professional. And again, I said it in the chat box, but we are creating a mentorship program. So if you were interested in signing up to be a mentee or a mentor, the application is open, and we will be pairing mentors and mentees together in the new year for this really, really cool mentorship program. So really appreciate all of your time, and thank you, Amber. I'm going to give you one more chance. Do you have anything else to say before we close for the day?
No, I think that's pretty much, be consistent, be who you are, work hard, be nice to people, and also just be patient. If you continue on those paths and you're working hard every day, you'll eventually get to where you want to go, even if it doesn't feel like it in that moment. So just keep trying, keep working hard, and it's going to pay off in the long run. So thank you guys so much for having me. I really appreciate it. It was great.